Hello. Happy Monday and August calendar release day. How was everyone's weekend? Just waiting for some people to chime in. See if anybody remembered that today was the live. Oh, Shelby's here. Yay. I just did a quick post on our Facebook page about 20 minutes ago just to remind people. But if you forget or you aren't available during the day, you can always watch this on replay on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page for a short period of time. So I see some people rolling in. Hello. Yeah, it's funny. The weekend, I sent out information on, I think it was Friday morning. But then the weekend happens and it's like a big gap in time. I don't know. I think that's the way it is for me. Cooper was sound asleep and now he's awake. Yeah, and so it's like last week didn't even exist. And now here we are on Monday again. So I hope everyone had a great weekend. The fall weather sure has kicked in, that's for sure. I don't know what happened to summer, but boom, it was gone. Okay, we've got lots of people rolling in. Okay, good. So I'm going to get started. This is your bundle for August 2025 calendar series. So for the summer months, I like to pick, some sunny layouts, but I also like to pick something kind of really outdoorsy. I do a lot of outdoorsy things, so it suits me for sure, but I know there's a lot of people looking for that sort of outdoor theme. So August is a good month for that. And Simple Stories released this Woodlands collection that I just fell in love with. And I quickly snatched some of it up for our calendar. So I hope you love it. I know Shelby loves it. I really love it. So in the bundle this month, you're going to get half of a 6x6 paper pad. So in the 6x6 paper pads, there are 2 of each sheet of paper. But we split the pad just to keep it economical. And you'll see why shortly, because we barely use any of it. There is a lot of paper in a 6x6 pad, and it is very suitable for 12x12 layouts as well. So when you are shopping for your paper crafting, don't discount these great 6x8 pads. Even the 6x6 pads offer a lot of opportunities for scrapbookers as well as card makers. So you will receive half of a 6x8 pad. So some of you may have the cover in your bundle and some might not. So, but you get all the same papers. And then you also get a full 12x12 sticker sheet. You get a full sheet of the 4x6 elements. Now we're going to be using the plaid side of the paper. And then a sheet of white cardstock for your background. So that is what's included in the bundle. And then we have add-ons. So I take this bundle and I create a layout, and then I provide that as inspiration. But you can definitely kind of go rogue and do your own thing. You can switch things up as you see fit, or you can follow along exactly with what I'm doing. And if you want to do that, there will be some add-ons. And sometimes we don't know what those, well, let's say a lot of times we don't know what those add-ons are going to be when we order the papers and things in. So until we get creating with it, it's hard for us to know. So some of those items will be available as a pre-order. And we usually try to get those in within 2 to 3 weeks of ordering. Again, we rely heavily on the fact that the manufacturer of those products is going to ship quickly. In most cases, they do. Sometimes they get tangled up within a new release, which is what happened with our waffle flower fall postage stamp. I know a few of you are still waiting for that, and it did get tangled up with one of their big new releases. So it is due to arrive at our store on Wednesday, but so is the Gina K release, and so are the Spellbinders Advent calendars. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes that people are waiting for. So we're going to sift through, unpack, and start notifying people. But chances are, if you are waiting for things, it might be like Thursday, it might be early the following week that you hear from us. So I know that you're all waiting patiently, and we do appreciate that, but we are going as fast as we can. And as soon as those products arrive, we get all those pre-order things unpacked quickly. So you will notice when we're done the video that a number of the items will be pre-ordered. Okay. So, and that's just simply because when we got the layout done, we have to order those products and get them in. So anyways, let's move on to the actual layout. I will show you what that looks like. And then you can see, I don't know if I can get this all on one page. So we'll talk about the calendar side first. Now, this isn't something that everybody does, the calendar side. Sometimes people just purchase the layout, purchase the bundle for the layout design. But if you are doing the calendar side of the page, this is what it's going to look like. And you can see this beautiful outdoor scene here. And I have a little story behind that, which I will share with you as we go through this. And then this is the actual layout that I did create. And I did have a lot of fun with it. I was a little disappointed with my selection of photos. Apparently, we did a lot of biking last year in August because all my photos were bike photos. I was looking for something like more like in the woods and doing fun things like that, but I didn't have a lot to choose from. So I worked with what I had, and it ended up working really well. So this is a great layout for anything outdoors. You can really have a lot of fun with this. Again, your photos do not necessarily have to be outdoors. It just sort of signifies the time of year that it is. I had a ton of fun putting it together. And yeah, there's a lot of technique in this. I love creating my own backgrounds. And that's why you will notice that I don't use a lot of pattern paper when I do create. I do use some. It definitely has its place, but I love to do a lot of DIY stuff. So, ooh, you guys are liking it. Good. So I am going to show you how I created the background and everything so you can see that and have that as a reference for when you are doing your pages. But I really encourage you guys to jump in and try this whole background thing because it is so fun. I was very against the process of, I'll call it mixed media. I definitely do the mixed media on the lighter side. I don't heavily get into it, but I really do enjoy creating. I've been talking to a lot of customers that have been in the store and they're talking about scrapbooking and all that kind of stuff. And I just say, there's so many supplies that I use when I make cards that I transfer over. And I really have to sort of pull in the reins a bit when I'm doing it because I could have $600 of product on one page. Like it just is, it's hard. I mean, I see stuff and I think, oh, that would work. Oh, that would work. Oh, I could use that. so I get kind of crazy with it, but I try to keep it reasonable and hopefully you guys enjoy it. But now let's talk a little bit about the add-ons because there are a few, not too crazy, but a lot of regular stuff that we use all the time. The first thing I'm going to go through is the inks that I used. Okay. So I did use Distress Oxide inks. Now there is a reason that I choose oxides over regular dye inks, but if you want to try dye inks versus oxide, if you don't have these, feel free to do so. You can swatch out colors and figure out what works best for you. I used two different colors of green. So one is sort of a limier green. It's the Twisted Citron. The other one was Rustic Wilderness, which is sort of a darker, sort of like a leaf green. And then I mixed in some Walnut Stain. So the thing with oxide inks is they do contain pigment. And what that does is it makes the ink not as translucent and more opaque. And that does give you a different look on your page. So again, I'm not saying you can't use or don't use dye-based inks. Definitely give it a whirl if you have something that you want to try. But the oxide inks do work really nice when creating the backgrounds the way that I did here. So, and I will demonstrate my process with you and show you how I did it. But those are the three ink colors that I did use to create this sort of background look that I've got going on there. And I will just hold that up a little bit closer just so you can see what that looks like. And I find with these oxide inks, if you dry the layers in between, then they do layer nicely on top of each other. And it really gives you a great look. So that is the ink color for the background part. And then also you're going to need a black ink for stamping. Now I have been using my Memento ink. The reason I'm not using my, what's it called? VersaFine Clair is because it's a slower drying ink and I'm sort of stamping and working on the background and I want it to dry kind of quickly. So I just been using the Memento black. So whatever black ink you have is fine. And then I also used walnut distress ink. Now this is the regular distress ink. And this is, sorry, walnut stain. This is going to be used on the edge of things like these die cut wood slices and on the boots when I create the boots. So you can distress the edges of your papers and things as well, even your stickers if you want to, but that's where I use that, that color. It is different than the oxide walnut. Again, the distress is a dye-based ink, more translucent versus more opaque. So definitely a little bit different look. But again, you can experiment with what you have and see what works for you. Okay, so that's your inks. And then we're going to talk about the stamps and dies that I used on the layout. So I'll just pull this page over here so we can see. So the first thing we have used heavily in the past for making cards. Sorry, my cat wants out. Okay. Out you go. Go on. He wants in, and then when he's out, he wants out, or when he's in, he wants out, and when he's out, he wants in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Wander. Actually, no, that's not the first one I'm going to talk about. Forget what I just said. I'm going to talk about the Stump and Slice from Honeybee. Now, I thought I had that die, but I just searched in all the places where I thought I might have it stashed, and I can't find it. I am going to confess that the ones that are used on my page were ones that I had die cut out for a live. So I pulled them from my stash. And, okay, Marianne, I'm getting to your question in a minute. I pulled them out of my stash and I used them. They were already assembled, so it made my layout come together really quickly. I mean, I'm sure I have it somewhere, but I can't find it. So I had to make a little slide presentation because because I didn't have ones to show you. I'm just going to switch up my view here a little bit. Okay, so this is the Slice and Stump set from Honeybee. So this will be a pre-order. Actually, I think we have a couple of them in stock right now, but they're going to go very quickly, and the rest will be a pre-ordered item. So you can create 3 different styles of slices, and then you can also like make the stump. So here is the stump here. Okay, so you get the actual trunk of the tree, and then you get this slice piece that you can put on the top. And then the other 3 are over on this side. And again, they're 2 layers. So you have that piece on the top, and it does have, see the lines in it? It does create that from the die. So like the lines, the circles, when you have a slice of wood, and then you have that background piece that is more like the bark. And they come in 3 different sizes. Okay, so that is the slices. Now, I wanted to pull up just some ideas to show you. Again, I'm going to show to you on the layout, but you might think, well, I'm only going to use it one time and then it's probably going to sit in my stash. Well, that might not be the case because I'm going to show you some ideas. So when you buy the Slice and Stump set, it's one of their lovely layers sets, and they come with a layering guide. So it shows you how to cut out the pieces and layer them together to get the finished design. So that is very handy, and you can just take that and slip it into your little spot where you store your dies. So here is just a sample of what you can do with the Slice and the Stump if you're making a card, or even if you're making a scene on your layout. So anytime you see a card front, you can take that same design and you can place it on a scrapbook page. So it is not limited to just card making. So if you were doing a fishing layout, you could take this exact same design and you could put it right on your scrapbook layout, and that could be, you know, a cluster of embellishments. Because really, that's all that stamps and dies are. It's like ephemera that you're making yourself. So just to show you kind of what you can do. So great for outdoor stuff for sure. Really rustic, great for masculine cards or masculine scenes. But then it also works really nicely for Christmas. So you can mix it in with a little bit of greenery and a sentiment, and you can have something great for Christmas too. So whether you send Christmas cards or whether you make Christmas layouts, it can give you that really nice rustic feel. And here is another sample of some elements that were made using the slice and stump for ephemera. Okay, so that's kind of what that slice and stump looks like. And again, it just makes a beautiful backdrop for these clusters that I made on the layout. Sure, you can leave that slice and stump off and still kind of get the idea, but it's going to, it's definitely going to kick your page up a notch by adding in that slice and stump element. And again, to me, I love creating with outdoor themes and things like that. So it's definitely something that I will grab for a lot, because it just mixes and matches with so many things. So that's the slice and the stump. And then the other thing that I'm pulling in is the boots. Now we use these for a make and take in our store. I'm trying to think, I think we used them on a layout, but I cannot remember if I did. That was last year. I don't remember what I did 3 days ago. So maybe Shelby can help me out. I thought I did. Oh, we used them on August last year. See? So I had a set made up in my stash, but I do have this die. You can see it here. And what I had done, so the set comes with a die that makes the laces. So I'll just hold that up so you can kind of see the laces that you just layer right on top of your boot pieces. But I actually thread the boots myself with embroidery floss. So I had a pair of boots already made up, and they went so perfectly with this that I thought I have to include them on this page. So that is why I'm pulling the boots back out. So for those of you who participated last year and bought the boots, yay you, we get to use them again. But if you didn't, we are ordering more. So they will be up for pre-order, and you can pre-order yours. Now, I'm not going heavy on my order. If you are watching this today, the day of the release, get your pre-order in quickly, because I am ordering from Spellbinders later on today, and I am going to be including that. Now, if I see my numbers really jumping, then I can throw more in there right away. If I don't make this order, we order from Spellbinders a lot. We'll just throw the extra pre-orders into the next order that we send in. So you might have to wait a little bit longer, but we do have a bunch on the way. So if you did miss out on the boots the first time, no worries. You can order them now. Okay. Now, sometimes that's not always an option. Sometimes things get discontinued. So you just never know, but that is the boot die. Okay. So that is from Spellbinders. And then the third thing is a stamp set, and it is from Spellbinders. Now, this kind of stamp set does not come with dies. They're just silhouette stamps, which are really cool. And that's what you see kind of clustered around my layout in different spots. And I just think they are so fun to work with. So definitely consider this. And it's got a really nice outdoor theme to it. Pardon me. So you've got the ferns. You've got a couple of different butterflies, a beautiful dragonfly, a mushroom, some tall stems here with some mushrooms mixed in, and some really great words that you can use for your layouts as well. And if you like making nature themed cards, then these will work great for your cards as well. So funny story about this. When I was trying to figure out what colors of ink I wanted to use for this page, I kind of was working with a little swatch. So this background piece here is where I was sort of smooshing my ink colors on to see if they blended well together, and how they would look with the papers and things in the collection. So that's how it started. And then I wanted to test out some of the silhouette stamps. So I chose the word wander, and I sort of stamped it on there. I made the fern, I did the mushrooms, and then I pulled out that slice and that stump, and I placed it kind of down here. All of a sudden I had a card front, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. Well, it ended up being the element that I used right here. So I just transferred this over onto my layout, and I added the slice and the stump in. and it worked out beautifully. So that is kind of how this section here evolved. And then once this section started, then I got really excited about the second half of the page, and I had it done in no time because it just kind of really kickstarted my creativity. So so this transferred over to here, and that's how we ended up with that design. Now the other set that I used, oops, I didn't pull that out. Oh, it's right here. It's never far from me because I use it a lot. Is the Weathered Words Tailored Expressions. Now we did use this previously on another layout, and I know a lot of you are doing that scrapbooking cards event, and I know that this is on the supply list for that too. So we now have a lot of people that have already ordered them, but we are putting in another order for more. So if I think we had a couple in stock before we started the video, but if not, then just do the pre-order option because they're going to be arriving in a couple of weeks, and then you will have them in your hot little hands. It is a 6x6 background stamp, but you can use pieces of it to create some really fun stuff when you're making your background. So I will demonstrate that as we go further into the video. So those are the stamps and dies that I used on this month's layouts. Okay, and then obviously each month we have the die cut letters. So I know I had a pack in my hand. Oh, here they are. For the month. Okay, so we color coordinate those so that they coordinate with the papers in the line, and that we have available each month. So that is an add-on as well. And also the calendar page itself. This blank calendar page. So if you want to do this half of the layout, then you need to purchase one of these blank calendar pages. We do not include them in the bundles because not everybody does this side. So we don't want to waste that. So you have to purchase that if you want that. And then usual things like a sanding block, because I like to sand the edges of my pictures. And I'll just hold that up there so you can kind of see the edges of those photos are all sanded. I was super impressed that my son actually made the page this month. If you guys are parents to grown-up boys, you don't get a lot of pictures. You know, they're out there living their life and they just don't think to take photos. I have a daughter as well. She takes lots of pictures, but they don't always think to do that. So he sent these to me and I saved them right away because I thought, oh, I'm going to make sure I get him on the layout. So, so that worked out well. So sanding block. And then clear gems. So on my layouts, I often use really neutral gems for embellishing. And I pulled mine out here. So in here, I have an assortment of clear gems that I like to use. So we uploaded in the shopping section any clear gems that we have in stock, and we will be restocking a lot of our favorites. So if you don't see them there now, maybe check a little bit later because they might pop up again. Okay, Michelle is saying, what are the colors of the Gina or the G and the U in the August title? Oh, I'm getting there. I will talk about those cardstock colors in a minute. Yeah, so these are just some options for clear gems. So anything that you have in your stash. And if you like to do something with a little bit more color, feel free to do that. Either way, just something that will add some dimension and just sort of tie everything together. So I just have them sort of clustered in a few different spots on the page and then over in this section as well. Okay, my T-ruler, which is a great tool when you're lining up your months or any embellishments on your page. A T-ruler will just line up with the edge of your paper, and then it's like a square, so that makes it completely straight. So for instance, if I was doing the August, I would just line that up, and then that allows me a straight spot just to put those letters on there. Because if you're anything like me, oh my gosh, I just, you think something straight, you walk out of the room, you come back in and you look at it and you think, what was I even thinking? Because that's not straight at all. So I do use my T-ruler a lot. My Sweet Petunia has a great set of 12-inch ones, and then they also have smaller ones for card makers too. Yeah, so Shelby is saying that the Color Vibe colors I am using will be in that shopping section. they might be scattered around in there, but they will be there. But I'm going to talk about cardstock in a couple of minutes. Then I used ink for splattering. I did splatter on the background and in this section here. I did use the Winsor & Newton ink. We have a few different options for splattering. You can even just use black stamping ink as well, whatever you prefer. And then obviously you're going to need brushes for splattering. I've been grabbing these ones a lot lately. I also have fan brushes. So whatever your favorite brush is, but if you need a nice set, this is a good one. It has different size brush tips on it. So for larger splatter or smaller splatter, if you like to do watercolor or guide your ink when you're smooshing, you can use brushes for that too. So there's lots of options for those. You will need a non-stick surface, whether it be a craft mat, a glass mat, something, because we're going to be doing a smooshing technique and you do need something to put your ink on. So I work on a glass mat, but I also like working with this smaller 6" by 9" magnetic glass surface as well. I like to put that sort of beside me, and then I can work with it as a palette. And then when I'm done with it, I can just simply pick it up and move it to the side. And I don't have to worry about getting my papers into all of this ink that's on my surface either. So I really love that glass board. Okay, Shelby said she's added the Hero Art speckling. Yes, that is a great one too. It comes in a little squeeze bottle, so it's really nice to get the ink out. So that's a good one as well. And I know I'm getting another one from Spellbinders too. I forget what it's called, but they highly recommend that one too. So we'll be adding that to our library for splattering. Alcohol spray and your cloths for cleaning up. These are musts anytime I craft. So we just restocked Carolyn's favorite cloth. And then we also restocked these little spray bottles for your alcohol. So if you haven't picked up one of those yet, it's a really great tool. Something I use every single time I craft. And then blending brushes for the edge of your paper. I told you I was using the walnut stain. I prefer this style of brush for inking the edges of my papers. I just find this foam pad works a little bit better than the bristled brushes. So I keep those on hand for that type of blending. And then finally, staples and a stapler. I like to use the tiny attacher, and then I sort of rip and tear that corner and fold it over and just staple it down. So that is something that we use sometimes as well. All right. And then as far as cardstock goes, I am using pattern paper to mat the photos on my layout, but I know some of you like to pick up the cardstock that we use in this title here, because the colors do match the colors in the line. So I pulled them out, and the colors we're using are from the Color Vibe line from Simple Stories. And it is pear. That's the lightest green that I used. And then green and terracotta and brown. Okay, so those are the colors that I used in the title. And then also, if you don't know about the Color Vibe cardstock, it is smooth on one side, like smooth brown, and then on the other side is going to be a dot pattern. So it gives you the option. Plus, this is a white core paper. So if I was to tear this, the center core of the paper is not brown. It is white. So some people look at that as an advantage and some people look at it as a disadvantage. So just so you are aware of that, if you sand the edge of your paper, just like I did on my photos, you're going to get that white edge. So that's kind of cool if you're using embossing folders, or if you're matting a photo and you want to add sort of another faux matte just by adding that sanding. It kind of defines it, which is quite nice. So I do love the Color Vibe paper, and those are the 4 colors that we have. So we have those in there for you to purchase as individual sheets if you want to as well. I know lots of you like to build up your stash of cardstock, and we usually do pull from that Color Vibe line. Now, the other thing for cardstock that won't be included in your bundle is anything that you need for die cutting. So I pulled out a few colors. Again, I had those die cuts done already. I have no idea what paper I used, but you don't have to use exactly what I used anyway. but I did pull out some suggestions. So from the Color Vibe collection, just move this over here. Let's look at the stump and slice first. So for the stump and the slice, you can go with the oatmeal for the top, or craft. I've also got craft pulled out. It's going to look light on here, but you can use your brown distress ink to make it as dark as you want, just by inking over top, and also going a little heavier on the edges will give you that really nice ink blended look as well. So you can go with craft. I thought the oatmeal was a little more, a little closer to this color here. And then once you get your ink blending on there, it's going to look very similar to what I did. So that's the oatmeal. And then you can go for the bark part, you can go with brown, or if you want to go with something just a little bit darker, you can go with espresso. And I find the espresso is a very nice complementary color to the camera. But you know, it's darker than what's shown in the binoculars, but it still complements it. So it is quite nice. If it was me, I would probably be leaning a little bit more towards the espresso for my bark color versus the brown. But again, I'm giving you options just so you have some choices. So both of those work quite nicely along with the oatmeal. And then for the boots, let me pull the boots up here. For the boots, can you guys hear my cat? He's yelling outside the door now. Oh my gosh. So for the boots, again, you want a dark brown for the sole. And I would, again, go, again, it depends. You can go with the brown or you can go with the espresso. He's very vocal. Yes, he's yelling. So the espresso is very close to what I used on my boots. And I think it's a good color. So espresso for the back. And then you want 2 colors of lighter sort of craft for the top. So again, I would go with both the oatmeal and the craft, and then you can layer them. So you're going to see a slight variation in color on the boots. You don't want them to be exactly the same. Otherwise, it's just going to look like all the leather on the boots is the same. And I think just a slight variation is good. And I think that oatmeal and craft will give you that. Plus, you can do a little bit of distress ink on those as well, which will sort of tie them in a little bit closer. Oops. And then while we are talking about the boots, I wanted to pull up my slideshow again because the boots are so cool. You can do them in so many different colors and mix and match them with other things that you have in your collection. So if you've got greenery of any kind, it works really nice. You can put florals with it. They work for birthday cards, for masculine cards, for thank you cards, all kinds of things. And just to give you another kind of close-up look at the boot, and any color combination will work. I know last year when they first came out, everyone was doing them in buffalo plaid because that was a big thing, and turning them into Christmas boots. So there's lots of things that you can do with the boots to make them really fun. And you can see on this particular set of boots, they've used brown for the sole, but then they used like a craft and a pink. So whatever color combination you want to use for your boots is great, but they can be a ton of fun. So that is something you're going to want to consider when you are ordering cardstock is, do you need colors for your boots if you're doing that route? Okay, so that is all of the add-ons, and we talked about the paper and the cardstock and all the fun things. Any questions? Amanda says her cat's looking for my cat. Oh, yes. He's quiet now. He realizes I'm not going to open the door. We were away all weekend, so usually the first day that we're back, he's always yelling at us because he just wants us to know he's here, and we ignored him all weekend, so he's frustrated with us. But I'll just wait a second. Any questions you want to ask about anything we've covered so far? No, I think we're good. Okay, so now I think what I'm going to do is just demonstrate how I did the background for the layout. Now, I will say with the love the color vibe colors used. Yes, me too. I'm a real, like, I love earth tones and that sort of neutral, natural look. I love creating outdoor layouts. The paper really inspired me. And when I work with product that really inspires me, it really gets the creativity going. So it's fun. Was the hand-drawn rings on the soles of the pink boots? Let me go back to my slideshow here. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me see. Oh, like these lines here? No, that is actually done with the die. Yep, I'll hold my boots up. Where's my boots? Let me get rid of my slideshow first so you can see the whole screen. Okay, so let's get up there. See how those boots are? That's all done with the die. It's so cool. Like, I mean, look at the detail on that stump. That's all done with the die. It's going to make you look like an absolute brilliant crafter, and you didn't even do anything. I hate to burst your bubble, guys, but the product's going to scream talent, and you just get to put it together. But you can tell everybody who sees it that you made it. So it's really awesome. So, okay, yeah, so we're going to move on. So in the bundle, we provide you with white cardstock. Now, this is just 80-pound scrapbook weight cardstock. So it's nothing fancy. It's not meant for mixed media. So if you are a person who gets crazy with the liquid part of things, you may want to upgrade your paper. And the Vicky Bouton Foundations paper is great. It's 12 by 12. It's white, and it is perfect for this. It's pricier. It comes in a pad, and that's why we don't include it in the kits a lot, because then the price has to go up for everything. Oh, thank you, Shelby. If you could add that, that would be great. And that's only if you want to upgrade your background paper. Now, if you're careful with the amount of moisture you use and how you use it, you should be okay. You are going to get a little bit of warping on your paper, but if you think about what you're going to do with it after you're done, you're going to put it inside a page protector in an album with other papers on top. So it's going to weigh it down and flatten it anyways. I found even just having my page done and, shuffling it around my craft room in different spots, it's already flattened itself down. So just be mindful of that, though. This is not mixed media paper. It doesn't have a mixed media finish on it or anything like that. It's just white cardstock. And in 9 times out of 10, when I'm creating, this is more than enough for me as far as handling what I'm doing. But again, if you want to get all crazy with it, then totally upgrade. So I'm going to demonstrate how I've created this background piece here. And so what you're going to want to focus on when you're doing it is where on your page you're going to be placing things. Now, you have the benefit of me already having the layout done. So if you're kind of going with my design as your guide, then you're going to know kind of where you need to put stuff. If you're just winging it, sometimes you just have to create things and then work with whatever turns out. And I know that's the scary part about creating your own background. When you buy a patterned paper, it's kind of already laid out for you. So you don't have to really think. You have to work around those things. But if you are creating something from scratch, it gets a little intimidating because you're kind of like, well, I don't know where to put this or this because I don't know what I'm going to do. So I've learned to just let it happen. And then, if you have a loose plan in your head, you can definitely work with that. And then it'll just sort of evolve as you go along. The more you do it, the more confident you will feel and the better you get at it. Allison loves the slice and stump. Well, I got to tell you, I do too. It really sets everything off as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, you can leave these elements, these slice and stumps off of here, and it would be pretty cool, but it is ultra cool when you throw those pieces in there. It just really ties in that outdoor theme, and it just looks so great. So okay, so what we're going to do is you'll notice that the paper here itself has been cut down to 11.5 by 11.5. So that's my finished piece, and that's to allow that plaid paper to show through behind the white when you're done. So you can either create your background and then trim it down afterwards. Now, advantages to that is if for some reason you're a little to the left or a little to the right or a little high or a little low, you can trim all of the full inch, or sorry, the full half inch off one end if you want to, or one side, or you can split it however you need to. The disadvantage is you might forget that you have to cut that off, and it might affect how far out you go. So if you like to cut it so that you know what size you're working with, you want to go to 11.5 by 11.5. Okay. I am not going to cut mine. I'm going to actually do my design first, and then that allows me the flexibility to trim later on. But you do want to leave, you know, a couple of inches on each side, and like 1.5 inches top to bottom, where you kind of keep your design contained in that area. If you go a little outside that, or you're a little short, it's not a big deal. The only thing is you're going to be putting pictures up the center of it. So you want enough of your inking to be showing that it makes a difference, not that you just end up with a little strip. And again, if that's what happens, you either pull out another piece of white cardstock and try again, or you just make it work. You know, one way or the other, it's going to turn out fine. And there's probably going to be a point where you're going to go, oh my God, this is a hot mess, and I don't even know if I like this. Just keep pushing through, because I think you'll find when you start to add all of the details on top of it and get your stamping on and your other elements on, it all sort of comes together. So, you know, boost up your confidence and just really try to push through it. Because there's lots of times where I wanted to abandon things and thought, oh my God. And then, yeah, like this, again, just testing ink colors. And all of a sudden I was like, ooh. And I started to do stuff. And then I'm like, I love how this turned out. And I showed this to someone, I forget who it was, but I said, I didn't mean to make a card. I was just playing, and then it just kind of happened. So it works that way sometimes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is pull over my palette here, and I'm going to smoosh some ink on here to start my smooshing. Now, the thing is, a little while ago, we did a video where I made my own smooshing tool. Now, we do have a YouTube video up on our YouTube channel where I show how to make this. But all you need is a microfiber cloth and a Ziploc sandwich bag. That's the technical thing that you need to make this this tool. Now you can make different size smooshing tools, but I love this cloth, the size of it and how it fits in. But you're basically just going to scrunch it up, and then you're going to put it inside your little Ziploc bag. Okay, stuff it in there, and then you're going to close this up, and you're going to end up with a little smooshing tool. So that's basically what you're going to do. Okay, but again, you can look up that video on our YouTube channel. When this video is over, in the description of this video, I will add the link to that video so that you can refer to it easily. But this is my new favorite way to smoosh. I used to take acetate and kind of like rock it all over, and I just found I didn't have a lot of control. This really opens up the control, and I like that. So that is what I'm going to use to smoosh with. And then the first color I'm going to lay down is my Twisted Citron. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just smoosh out some ink, and I like to do a little more than I think I'm going to need, because I don't want to get partway through this and go, oh, I need more ink. And then you have to stop what you're doing, and you have to clean your surface off, smoosh again, add more water. This way you just have a palette to work with. Okay, and then you're going to add some water, and this is where you need enough water to make it flow, but not too much water that it's like, first of all, diluting the color so much that you can't get the look you're looking for, but you also don't want to saturate your paper. Okay, so I'm going to use the Spellbinders Mighty Mister. I love this thing. And I'm just going to pull, and it's kind of like a continuous spray when you pull it. And it just kind of, so that's one spray. I'm just going to do like a half. Okay, so there you can see that it's starting to move. And then I'm going to take my smoosher, and I'm just simply going to smoosh it around. Okay, and then I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to just start plopping it down on my paper. Okay, no rhyme or reason. You're just kind of filling in that area, and kind of go different directions, but you're going to fill in the area that you want to fill in. So again, leaving that sort of 2 inches on the outside. Now remember, I still have to cut off my paper. So Amanda, how's this look? This is your background. Okay, and then to clean it off, you're just simply going to wipe off your smoosh tool. And you're just going to grab whatever's left on here. Actually, you know what? While I have this out, I'm going to do Amanda's calendar part. What did I do with that paper? I always forget that part, but you should do this too. So I know that my calendar part is going to take up this area right here. So I'm just going to take that ink and I'm just going to add to that spot. And you're filling in with some other colors too. So you don't want to fill the whole thing in, but there we go. That's it. Not hard. Karen just got home and she said she loves the layout. It's amazing. I really appreciate it. I really love it. Like, I mean, I'm going to leave this layout out in my craft room. I have a little spot where I can display, and I'm going to leave it out for a little while because I enjoy looking at it. It's one of my favorites for sure. Okay, so what you'd want to do now before you add the next layer is you want to make sure that this is good and dry, because you don't want to, I don't want my colors to mix together and make new colors. So I'm going to grab a heat tool and I'm just going to quickly dry. And I know that's boring, but I want to make sure that these areas here dry up. And those pooled areas are really cool. They end up being like really nice, deep, like splotches. So when I'm applying the heat, my paper's kind of curling a little bit. If you take your heat tool and come from the back, it curls back the other way. So I kind of do both. And don't go too close to your paper. Just give it room. Pardon me. When I talk a lot, I start coughing. Okay. And it will be a little bit warpy at first, and then it does start to lay down. Okay, so now if you have a couple of spots that are a little bit stubborn, you can take your cloth and just dab, and that will go away. Okay, so that's color number one. Now we're going to come in with the darker green, is the Rustic Wilderness. And again, same idea. Just make sure you get enough ink on your palette that you can give it a spray and a half and not have to go back and make more. Okay, and then we're going to take our smooshing tool and we are just going to dab in this extra color, and we're just going to fill in some of the areas. We're not looking for full coverage here. We're just going to make sure that it's represented. So that looks good. And then I'm just going to pull over this other area here for the calendar. Oh, that looks good. And I like these areas where it's good and dark. And you can make those areas. You just pick up the tool and you push the ink where you want it to go. It's very forgiving. Okay, and then we're going to just clean that off. And we're going to bring in the heat tool again. If you can let it air dry between layers, that's good too. But obviously you're going to sit here and wait for me to create. Now, if you get these puddles, you can kind of move your paper and have the ink pool in certain areas. But it's going to be a little bit darker there, which is kind of fun. So I'm just going to bring this one back on and we'll just use the heat tool again. And we're just going to dry that. And it just goes as fast as it goes. I can't rush it. I can't make it go any quicker. If I was to take my microfiber cloth right now and dab this, I'm going to take away a lot of that color, and I don't want to do that. I want to leave that on there and let it pool. And I mean, some of it might get all the way covered up, and then I don't even get to enjoy it anyways, but that's just part of the game. And sometimes when you're drying too, you kind of see enough definition and you're like, okay, now I can dab it off and I'm good. And those are the things that you start to learn when you play with it. You start to build confidence when you're doing something like this. Because when I first started this, I was like, oh my God, I have to demo this on a live. I am no expert. But you kind of get good at it. And you start to know that it's going to look bad before it looks good. And that's okay. I have to do a little drying on this one, because this one's not drying on its own this time. Any questions? It's a good time to ask questions. Okay, we'll go with that. Maybe that spot will dry a little bit before I have to jump in there. If not, I'll dab it. But see how I got that definition there, which I really like? Maybe you can't see it. I'll just pull it up. See what I mean? So it kind of looks really cool. Okay, and now we're going to come in with the final color, which is the walnut stain. Now this one, I don't want to go too heavy, because I don't want it to look like a big mud pile. Okay, because it is the brown. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water there. One spray. We added less ink. Let's mix that up. And I'm just going to pull in a few spots. And I'm making sure I kind of go out to those edges so that I will get some of that brown showing when I do my finished design. Okay, so that's good for brown. And then I do have this spot here that's not dry. There we go. Because I don't know what's going to happen when I mix the brown and the green together. I mean, I've already got kind of a mud pile here, so it might be okay, but I don't want to find out. Okay, there we go. So that's as easy as the smooshing is. And very controlled. I'm not making a big mess. I'm not, I don't have a huge amount of cleanup. It's all very, very easy. Okay, so now I can just set that aside. And we've got our two pieces here. And I am loving what the brown is doing here. See how it's pooling in those areas? So we're just going to dry that a little bit. So the reason your paper is warping, well, one of the reasons, think about it when you use like soap on your face, and then afterwards when it dries, your face feels kind of tight. I feel like that's what this ink is doing to this paper. And by going on the front and the back of the paper, it's just kind of loosening those paper fibers. And it just sort of helps it lay down a little bit more. And when you stick it to your background, it's going to flatten out as well. Okay, so that is how you create the background of the layout. Now the rest is just building. Now I don't have Amanda's photos here, so I don't want to go crazy and start stamping a bunch of things, but all the black stamping and everything on here is just simply that stamp set. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper and I'm just going to stamp some of the things out so you can see it, because I want Amanda to have the flexibility to be able to create this section with her photos and then position the stamps accordingly. But it's nice because my elements that I used for my stickers, I just sort of stamped, like I kind of had my clusters made. And then I sort of positioned them where I wanted, and I could see kind of where I wanted to have this piece sort of come out. So then you can kind of line up your stamp block and do it that way. And I'll show you kind of how I cluster them and how I do the text and so on. But just so you can see. And then when I'm done that, I will run through the stickers that I used and where I placed them. So let's just set this aside for a minute. I'm going to just grab piece of scrap paper. I had some out. What did I do with it? Well, I'll get more. No problem. Okay, so here's just a piece of printer paper. Now, when I do this kind of stamping, I don't use a MISTI. 12 by 12 paper doesn't fit in a MISTI anyway, but some of you have the larger MISTI, the memory MISTI, so you can put your paper in there, but I don't get that precise. I think this kind of stamping is really nice to be able to use stamping blocks. Now, there are options, and Shelby, I did not have this on my list. I'm sorry to make you scramble. But if you can add the stamping blocks, the Gina K stamping blocks in, that would be really cool. All different sizes. So I have a couple different sizes that I go to a lot. If you have round versions of these, that's okay too. But grabbing a stamping block bigger than what you need is a disadvantage because it makes it awkward and hard to place the stamp exactly where you want it because you don't know where to put the pressure. You think you know, but then you start to put it down and it doesn't really work out. So to use the proper size stamping block is a good tip. So let's grab the stamp set, which I lose all of my things when I start doing these videos. Hold on, it's here somewhere. But I pull them out and I set them down and then I don't know where I put them. Oh, here they are. Okay, so there's your stamp set. So we're just going to take this out of the package here. And okay, so for the fern, and let me just show you on here. So for the ferns, so this part here, this appears like we have two ferns. But we don't really have two ferns. We only have one. Thank you, Shelby. And Shelby says she has the Gina blocks and she loves them. I really love them. Okay, so why do I love them? Well, first of all, they have a grid on them. Okay, so you can see if you're lining up a sentiment or you want to know if something's straight, it makes it helpful. And then on the side, they have these little dips in here, so they're really easy to hang on to. And all the corners are sort of rounded. This is an old block that I got like centuries ago. And the edges are not as smooth. So I didn't replace this because I obviously have one that works. But these two are the Gina K ones and I love them. Okay, so for the fern, I'm just going to pull this out and I'm going to stick it to my block. Okay, so now when I stamp the fern, where's my black ink? I've lost that too. Come on, Carolyn. How do you lose black ink? Did I put it away? No. Okay, hold please. Wow. I'm a mess. Well, I don't know what I did with it. Well, I'll just grab a different pad. I'm going to use the VersaFine Clair. Now, I wouldn't normally use this just because it doesn't dry as quickly. But you're just going to ink up your fern. Now, if you want it to be dark, you just go ahead and stamp right on your paper. Okay? So here we go. Down, little pressure, lift up. If you have areas that have a little bit of white in them, that is A-okay. Mine on my layout have exactly that same thing. If you want a stamped off look, so we've stamped on something. If you don't want it to be as dark, you stamp off on something and then go in with your pad or your block and you get a much lighter version of exactly the same thing. So if you want your stamping to be a little more subtle, then you do that. If you want it to be a little more bold, you do that. It's also nice to use a combination of those things. Okay, so I'll show you another version where we do dark. Okay, oops. We've done dark. I'm going to stamp off over here. Okay, and now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to tilt this a little bit. And we've got light. But this is how I get that two fern look. But see how you've got darker and lighter? It actually kind of creates depth when you are stamping. So it's a good thing. And that's how I got this look. So you don't see any of the stuff down at the bottom where it overlaps like this. That you won't even see it. You're just going to see the tips of those ferns kind of coming out the top. Okay. And then once you kind of get that done, what you're going to do is grab that text stamp and you're going to do a similar thing. I'm just going to put the corner of this into the ink And I'm going to stamp off on the back because I don't want it to be harsh. Might have to do it a couple of times. And then you're going to come in and you're going to add a little bit of text. Okay, so see how I've got a little bit of text there? And that will give you, now I used a different stamp on mine. I've dove into my session. My text is a little bit smaller, but that's how you're going to get that text look, and it's going to look beautiful on your layout. Okay, and again, you can add a little bit more down here. Just take your finger and kind of push on just one section of the ink. Don't ink up the whole stamp. Just ink up a little area. And this little bit of ink goes a very long way. So you can now like still be using it in different spots. It just keeps going and going and going. So really stamp off when you're doing it and before you go into your project. So that will kind of give you that look here. Okay, with the ferns. And then if you want to do one that has the mushrooms, so let's take the fern stamp. We'll do that one first. And again, I'm going to stamp off first because I don't want it to be super dark. Okay, so we're gonna go here. Okay, so there's my fern. Pull that off. And now I'm going to pull in my mushroom cluster. Okay, and I'm going to stamp that. And this one I want to be a little darker than the fern. Okay, and I'm just going to place that like so. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit of text, and I might even have enough ink on here. Yep, I'm starting to get to the point where I need a little bit more. So I'm just going to stamp off a little bit. And see how the ink is just in this little section. I love the way that that looks. I don't want to have the whole text showing. And then you're just simply going to push it down. Okay, so you get that text look and you get that. Now I'm just sort of mimicking this area here. Again, a lot of the stickers and things are going to cover up the bottom. So you don't see this part. You just see what pops out the top. And that's what you're going for. Okay, and then this one over here, I did a fern and I did the mushroom. And then you'll notice a couple spots, like there's the butterfly and I did the stay wild. And again, I stamped off, so it's not really black. It's just sort of almost like a gray. And then another butterfly over here, another stay wild here, another butterfly at the bottom, a little bit there, and there's a little bit of text here and there throughout the layout. Just to add, you just keep adding until you're happy. Now, I did the stamping for the text after I was done sort of knowing where my clusters were going to go. And so you can make up your clusters and kind of lay them there, and then you'll know kind of where to stamp. This will provide sort of a guide for that. So it's really easy to do. Definitely play with that. And then the word wander, oh my gosh, so cool. So again, I'm going to stick it on this block just so I have a little more control when I am sticking it down. But it looks amazing when you stamp it out. And it's going to give you that, it's naturally going to give you that sort of distressed look. Okay. And that is going to be what you do over here. Okay. And then you've got your ferns and you've got a cluster coming out of the boot. And then this is just the word stay wild. And I stamped it on a strip of craft, and then I inked the edges, and I just placed that right underneath the word wander. And then by adding the stump and the boots, it just really, you know, creates a lot of dimension and just finishes off the scene really nicely. So that's kind of how you do the stamping. Now I've stamped that once, but just to show you, you can get a much more subtle look by just stamping it again. Okay, so you can decide how heavy you want your ink flow to be when you are doing the stamping. And like I said, there's lots of stamps in this little set. There's the butterflies, the word stay wild, enjoy nature. You've got a dragonfly, the fern, and the mushroom, and the other cluster, the wildflower cluster, are there too. There's also the great outdoors, and there is the word hello. So if you want to do cards or whatever with it, you can use something generic like the word hello. So pretty easy to use. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the stickers that I used and where. Am I missing anything for anybody? Nobody's asking any questions. Okay, so if I'm missing anything that you want me to cover, make sure you say it in the comments so that I know what I'm doing. But we're going to walk through. There are no stickers on this side of the page. I didn't use any stickers at all. So we're just going to focus on this one. And I'm going to pull out the sticker sheet just so we can locate them for you. So for this element here, I used the camera. There was no way that was not going on my page. I love the camera. And then I used this cluster right here. Okay, so the camera and the cluster just going up from behind. And then this one here is this cluster here. And I just sort of placed that on the edge of the camera. And then the word view from here, where did I get that? Down here. It's just one of those word strips. And that's how I kind of created that one. And then down here, this one was fun. So there's this really cool map that says, let's explore. And then I took the binoculars and the dragonfly. Oh, that's not that one. It's going the other way. So where did I get mine? I don't see it. Oh, here he is, up at the top. Okay, so then I layered the dragonfly on top of the binoculars, and then I put that on top of this Let's Explore, and I just slipped a little stump in there, which was so cool. And then the big word nature is here for the bottom. And then on this side, I chose that big cluster right here with the fox. And then I put the word outdoors and let's go. And I just sort of layered those across there. And again, I inserted one of those stumps to make that look really cool. And same thing up here. It definitely helps ground those clusters. So that works really well. So that's the stickers that I used on the page. There are lots of word stickers down here that you can put in. Again, I played around with some of them, but I was just really happy with the way that this looked. But there is a ton of extra product that you can use. Now, as far as the papers in the paper pad go, like I said, you're getting a whole paper pad full of pattern papers from this. I only used 3 of them. And I used this light green plaid. I used the one with the ferns. And then I used this sort of terracotta colored floral. And all of those I cut to 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And those are the mats for my photos. Now I'm just going to quickly run through all of the patterns that come in this because there is a lot of really great papers. So you get this beautiful scene with the mushrooms and the florals. And on the reverse, it's like a collage of journal cards. And then this is a great one too. I almost used that one. But again, for me, putting this green, most of it would have been the light green against my green background. I don't know. I didn't love it as much as I like the plaid, but you could use either. These are really fun. I mean, I had so many ideas, but I was only making 1 page, so I couldn't incorporate everything. It just gets too busy. But you can cut apart all these little Polaroids, which would be really fun to do. And then the green dot. And there's that fox with the mushrooms. And that's a really cute mushroom one too with a plaid. This is similar to the one that we use in the background. Look at the tags. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I didn't even use one. But I have all this stuff left over I can do fun things with. These are journal cards too. You can cut them all apart. And then you do have 3 by 4 cards. And there's that plaid that we use in the very back. Another set of 3 by 4s. And the mushroom paper. That's the fern that I used. And this is the paper that is on the other side of the green plaid. And the butterflies are on the other side of this. So those are all the papers that come in that paper pad. But again, we're just using those 3. Now, the other thing on the sticker sheet, if you don't want to buy the boots die cut set, there is a set of boots, in my opinion, nowhere close to how cool these are. But it is an option if you want to use the boots there. There's a compass on here. There's snails. There's lots of cool things that I didn't use. All the little tabs that are on there. Tons of words. The border strip. and so on. Now, I did choose on my sheet of plaid paper that we supply with you. We're not using it for anything else, so you can just cut it to 12 by 12 and then layer your white piece on top. I did cut the center out because that gives you a nice big piece of plaid that's left over. And with all of those other pattern papers that you have in the line, I mean, this is a whole sheet that you can then incorporate too. So you can definitely conserve paper by cutting the center out of that paper. And I just left a 1-inch border all the way around the edge, and then the center just popped out. So you can do that with an X-Acto knife or your trimmer, whatever way works best for you. But that way you don't waste all that paper just covering it up with the white. Okay, I think I covered everything. Does anyone have any questions? I'm just going to pull the layout back on here so you can kind of see where we're at. It doesn't all fit on one on the screen, so I don't see anybody asking anything. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so tuning in late, we'll rewatch. Okay, yes, good idea, because we cover all the fun stuff for the layout. And I think that will be it. Okay, so bundles are going to be up. Everything is good to go. Again, remember, they are limited in numbers. You can't wait 3 weeks and then come back and ask. The July page, we do have just a few kits left. They will be disappearing very soon, though. We don't keep them laying around. So definitely pick up your July page if you didn't. And then buy August sooner than later, because when we run out, we run out. That's it. Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon, and have a wonderful day.